Welcome to Tips to Connect. Today we're with Charlie Lawson, who is the National Director of UK and Ireland of BNI. Charlie, we were talking earlier about stories and the importance of stories. Why do you believe stories are so important in terms of connecting people?
Well, I think stories are absolutely fundamental, Andy, and I'm just thinking, go back to your last chapter meeting and listening to the weekly presentations, and when you heard them, how engaged were you really with them? And I mean, how engaged were you really with them? Because so many 60-second weekly presentations will be along the lines of, hi there, my name's Charlie, I'm an accountant, I can do services for you, I can help you with this, I can help you with that, and it's just a list of the products and services. And as I say, how really engaging is that? I talk a lot about stories and how stories get us, are in a better way of getting a message across because they manage to tap into our emotions. When we can get our stories being emotional, and particularly when we focus on what our client feels about us, both before we came in and did the job and after we've gone away and done the job, that's when stories become really powerful. Actually, the less it's about us, the better. Let me give you an example. I was doing a training session once, and it was on storytelling, and we were talking about how emotion's good in stories. And there's this lady in the front row, and she was sat there, arms folded, during this, going, and I could see she was worried. And I called her out and said, look, I can see you're worried, how can we help with this? And she said, look, I get what you're saying. I can see how being emotional is going to be better. But I run a payroll company. What's emotional about payroll? So I said, tell us about a recent bit of work you've done. And this was in January time, this training workshop was on. And she talked about a recent client she'd worked for, who it was coming up to doing their December payroll, so just before Christmas, and for some reason, the bank that operated that company's payroll had messed up. I don't know what the circumstances was. It wasn't a deliberate mistake, it was just one of those things that happened. But as a result, on Christmas Eve, the employees of this company hadn't been paid. Obviously, you can see that's a bit of a challenge for people. What this lady did in this payroll company, what they did was go to their bank account. They were able to do this financially, but they drew out the funds to pay those employees their wages, and then it was sorted out, financial transaction-wise after Christmas and New Year period. Then I asked, well, let's think about that client for a second. How was the boss of that company, whose employees had not been paid, how were they feeling just the moment they rang you? And you know what it's like. They've got a group of people who have not been paid at Christmas time. That's going to cause a problem. After they've done this and clearly gone well above beyond the call of duty and actually made the payment for them, obviously to be refunded later, what a hole that payroll company dug that client out. Do you think that client's, you're going to use them for life?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the deal. When we start thinking about the real situation, the human implications, payroll, it's not the most exciting thing, it's not the most emotional thing, I get that. But start to think behind it and think what the issue is, how it affects people. How does the client feel before you come along? You then swoop in and save the day, and then how does the client feel after? That's the power of stories. And here's the last point to finish on. When it comes to that payroll company, would you use that payroll company? I mean, you've no idea who it is. This is just some lady that I've referred to. Tell you what, most people would. I certainly would. What an awesome and we haven't heard anything about their services really. We just know they're awesome what they do. That's the power of stories.
And the emotion is driven that completely, isn't it?
Exactly.
Absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much, Charlie. Very much.
Absolute pleasure. Good luck with your networking.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye bye.